Sometimes I look at my left hand and I think, holy shit, I have hands. Specifically, I compare it to my parents' farm animals, think, wow, they have hands too, kind of, whatever they are. I noticed the biggest difference with Lucy, my favorite little sheep. So I decide I would write a few verses about it and post it in my online diary. I sign it Mary S. Stare at it for a total of 79.4 seconds before I delete it because I hated it. It's funny, my English professor, Sarah J. Hall, is kind of like a second mom to me. Told me that I should start writing what I feel and posting it on the internet. It happened the day after I was suspended from the university because I brought my little girl to school. Lucy was a baby at the time, so she made this huge ruckus, and basically the dean sent Mrs. Halls a threatening phone call about me violating school policies. So she was forced to email me and say, Mary, campus is not a suited environment for wildlife. But you still tell how much of a sympathetic woman she was, she wrote in the email. Look, there are better ways to express what you feel. I know you don't have many friends or people to talk to, but maybe you can put some rhymes together. Okay. That's the day that I, Mary Elizabeth Sawyer, started writing the story of my little lamb. It is well documented that the famed Mary Who Had a Little Lamb is based on a real woman, Mary Sawyer. However, the Twin Fall Times of November 26, 2020 point out that although the story does a great job at capturing the morality, little effort has been made to understand Mary and what motivated her curious relationship with the creature. Because it is impossible to figure out the origins of female figures in literature, since our fundamental personality traits, characteristics, and lifelong impacts have been told under the guise of men, aiming to shield the unconventional influence of women in society. Oftentimes, rewriting our own stories. This prose is an act of reclamation, a celebration of truth and feminism as we idolize and rhyme the story of a woman who could very well come closer to the one that actually existed. A modern day folktale by J.R. Brooke. So I responded to Mrs. Halls and I said, first of all, it's not my fault that the lamb pooped in the auditorium because someone scared her. Also, I'm 23. I'm not going to write rhymes. Also, I have friends. I had friends, okay? See, I had my friends in calculus. I had my friends in lab. I had my mom. I did not have her boyfriend, Charles, who came home drunk that night, plopped my mother over on the sofa, slapped her ass and said, Mary, crawl on all fours and talk to your only friends. So found myself responding to Mrs. Halls saying, could you come over for dinner sometime this week? She got there. She was a whole 4.5 hours late. And you are not gonna believe this. She told me that she was late because she was speaking to the head of the poetry department, Dr. Wildrum. She wanted me to submit my poems to the university's annual poetry journal, as if what I write could have some sort of influence on society. And I said, no. It doesn't have an, absolutely not. No, I'm not a writer. I'm a math student, okay? I'm not going to write rhymes about my sheep. That's stupid. It's weird. Oh, it'll be a way to express what you feel inside, she said. told me to go outside to the backyard for some inspiration. So I did. And when I got there, little Lucy immediately started running towards me. Hold on. Hi, come here. Hello, girl. She wasn't so much of a little lamb anymore. Kind of like a full-grown sheep, I would say. Hello. Okay, come here. Then Mrs. Halls grabbed my shoulder and asked me, what was it that I felt the day I decided to bring her to school? I said, because look at her. I know she's different. I know her eyes, her hands certainly don't look human, but we are one in the same. She understands me. She knows how much I think. And then Charles came outside drunk again and yelled, Mary, what are you doing? Get out of there. And apologized to Mrs. Halls for the embarrassment. The family had a drunk, it couldn't have a weirdo too, right? Mary had a little lamb whose undefined hands touched courage, whose coat could flourish broken prophecies, humanize the synthesis, and make sense out of arithmetics as a metaphor becomes the only equation to make it. I read to Mrs. Halls a little draft of what I had written for my poem, and she said I had to turn it into Dr. Wildrum right away. And I said, no, it's stupid. It's weird. I mean, she told me, Mary, nothing's weirder than bringing your lamb to school. So I agreed. The next few weeks, we basically spent it perfecting this poem. Mrs. Halls became my living, breathing autocorrect. And anytime I lacked inspiration, hello, Lucy never failed. By the week before, Charles hadn't yelled at me yet. But by the night of, he was drunk again. I came home late from working with Mrs. Halls, and I saw him tilting over our living room table, looking at one of the earlier drafts of my poem. I said, Charles, what are you doing? He told me I wasn't allowed to speak. He pointed a pistol at me. Which one of them is it? He screamed, which one of these fuckers are corrupting you? Tell me, which one is it? I said, Charles, I don't think. And then he ran outside towards the backyard, drunk, very, very drunk. And I said, Charles, what are you doing? He shot aimlessly at the ground, scaring every single one of my farm animals away except Lucy. I said, Charles, no, you don't understand. You're drunk. You don't know what you're doing. I looked at the old draft of my poems when I got home, which seemed a lot less of poetry and a lot more like a death sentence. You know what I did? The next day I walked into Dr. Wildrum's office. I ignored Mrs. Halls and I read my brand new poem. Mary had a little lamb whose fleece was white as snow. And everywhere that Mary went, that lamb would surely go. It followed her to school one day, made children laugh and cheer. Because as the people all would say, that Mary's soul was